Well, hello, Alicia. Can you hear me? If you can, just let me know. That way I can know if my mic is actually working or not. Looks like you're the first one to arrive, so it's going to be you and I talking for a few minutes here until other people show up as I drink my hot tea. Well, good morning, Mary. How are you this morning? I can't see how many people are on. Oh, there are 9 people. There you go. There you go. Loud and clear. Bum, dum, dum. Hey, Marcy made it. Yay, Marcy. Good morning, Claudia. Good morning, Midas. Mommy K. Good morning to you as well. Patty Swimler. Well, good. Thanks. My voice is coming back. It's not 100% yet, and it's on its way. Let me put it that way. Good morning, Holly. Jenny Brown, my neighbor. Hi. How are you today? Jenny, I woke up and I looked out the window and it was snowing again. I thought, why do I live in Ohio? Why is that? Hello, Janet. Nice. Good morning to you, Dawn. It's noon here, so it's like right in the middle of that stuff. So I guess it is technically afternoon in a minute or so. I get that, Jenny. my sister's experiencing Ohio this year in Delaware. They just had a blizzard hit them. I said, good, finally you get to experience it. Hi, Sandy. Yes. That's 2.5 feet of snow is about what we had here. And then we had several other accumulating snows and woke up this morning with more snow coming down. Hello in Oregon, Kelsey. Oh, afternoon or early evening for Dawn, UK. What part of the UK are you in? I did a lot of USO stuff over there. I went all the way up to the top to the Memwith Hill base and all the way down into the bottom bases performing for soldiers years ago. Minnesota. Oh my goodness gracious, Mary. Is it cold there? It's got to be cold there. I've heard stories of friends of mine who live in Minnesota told me about the winters being so frigid. Fabian, I see you. Thanks. You're saying your comments aren't working? I'm reading your comments, so I'm not sure what you're saying. Is it on the videos? Oh, Mary, 20 degrees. That's like a heat wave from Minnesota. Holy smokes. And Washington State is in the house. 30 seconds until we start this puppy. Huh, I wonder why that is. I'll have to dive into that. Usually it's a YouTube thing. If you put any links or anything in comments, it goes to a review segment, and then it takes me a while to get to the reviews because there's so many of them. We get so many little spam things. But I'll look into it, Fabian. And here we go. Oh, video file, not fine. Oh, well, it's going to go right to me this morning. The opener's not going to play because your buddy did not put it in the right file when he built the new one. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Live Loving live stream. It is really lovely to be here this morning. It has been a cold and wintry couple weeks, and as you can tell, my voice is coming back. It's not 100%, but I am hot tea, honey, and lemoning the whole time. Have a little heat pad over here to keep my tea hot the whole time we're talking. Things are going well. So my voice is coming back. Had some really interesting things happen in the past week or so, and I'll talk about them in a little bit. But let's start this thing off with a joke, shall we? Get a good laugh in this morning, or at least I hope it's a good laugh. I dug this one off the internet this morning, and I just really thought it was funny. So let me clear my throat. So, an Irish priest, a TV evangelist, and a rabbi are sitting in a pub. And they start talking, and they decide to find out who is the best at converting the people to their religion. And so the bet is they're each going to go off into the wilderness and find a bear. And each one's going to see who can convert the bear the fastest. And they get up and they go off into the wilderness. And later that evening, they're sitting back in the pub, and the Irish Catholic priest says, "Well, boys, when I found the bear in the woods, I read him his catechism, I sprinkled him with holy water, and the baptism is next week. It's great, wonderful." And the evangelist says, "Well, that's pretty good, boy. But let me tell you something. When I found that bear at the creek, I preached to him God's holy word, and he was so moved by the word of God that he was baptized there on the very spot." And the Irish Catholic priest says, "Oh, that's wonderful that you converted them so quickly. You've obviously done it faster than I." And they both turn to the rabbi, and they are aghast. They see this man covered in blood and rags and things all over his body to heal his wounds. And the rabbi looks at the priest, and he looks at the evangelist. He says, "Maybe I shouldn't have started with the circumcision." Made me laugh out loud this morning. I hope it makes you laugh out loud this morning, because I thought it was hysterical. And I got to do voices too, which is so. Well, Fabian, I only know jokes about bears because I look them up. So feel that feeling of that laugh, that joy in your heart, that expression of God, because that's what that is. Every time you feel that positive sensation, that is God in your life, and that is spectacular. That's something that we all should strive for in our life, is to feel that as much as we possibly can. I found that online. It's actually out of a Reader's Digest article. So I wanted to talk a little bit this morning before we get into the Q&A about inspiration. Where does inspiration come? Oftentimes we live in our little velvet cages, and we're processing life through our subconscious belief, and those subconscious beliefs were taught to us by our parents and our past and our experience and our friends and our religions. Those subconscious beliefs that are behind us, and then we start to, in religion we pray for things, and then we look for them, and we try to figure out how they're going to come or whatever. And in reality, inspiration comes when your mind is clear, when you're not looking for how. In the Bible it says, whatever you ask in God's name is granted. It does not follow that up with if you can figure out how. It's a matter of faith. It's actually the next line is instead of that is if you have faith. So you have to give that moment of faith, that moment of silence, so your answer, your inspiration can come in. That's the key part of it, is to put it out there and wait and give it the moment. Give it the moment of silence for that inspiration to come into your life. Many of you know that last night I put up a new meditation, the Meeting Joshua meditation. That the story behind that meditation to me was miraculous, because I had just finished a meditation and I was in that quiet space. And the idea of that came in in that moment of silence after the meditation, I was sitting there and I was like, for me, my intention is always to find the best way to share my experience. And because I think that it's almost morally wrong of me not to share my experience. Now, it may not be for you. I don't ask anyone to follow what I believe or what I say, but it really comes down to, I feel it would be morally wrong for me to not put the information out there in some form. And so I'm constantly looking for ways to put the information out there more. And I thought, what people really want is the experience. So the inspiration was, they want the experience of meeting Joshua firsthand. So I said, well, I can do that. So I came up with the idea. And of course, once the inspiration hit, it gave me the opportunity to then say, okay, I will follow my inspiration. I will follow the inspiration, because the inspiration will lead you. And what happens is, as you're following your inspiration, then you'll start to see road signs along the way saying you're on the right path, you're on the right track. For me, it was my friend Tim having an experience as I was recording it. It was also finding the actual sound of the sun. When I was looking for an ohm sound, I found the sound of the sun on a NASA site that was the absolute perfect sound for what I needed in the moment where you meet Joshua in the recording. And so it was all very divinely guided and divinely timed for me. That's what I believe. And so when I got the inspiration, I just followed the inspiration. I just went with it. I didn't think, is this going to fail? Is this going to not work? Is this going to be something that is thought of poorly? First thing I did, of course, because I think we're a community here, is I went on to the community board and I asked what you guys thought, and I got nothing but positive feedback. So that was part of that inspiration, was to ask you guys, and then you guys gave positive feedback. So that was part of the sign that there was something I should do. And so I put it out last night, and I'm very proud of it. It's an amazing recording for me. And if it's something you're interested in, it's there. So, but the point of this is the inspiration is in your life. If you want to go somewhere else, change something, do something more, do something different, then you really have to realize that you as a creator create through belief. And that belief comes from inspiration. So you believe something, and then the inspiration comes, and that is where it starts to create. That's where the motion starts to happen. I said in a different video, a different live stream actually, about on 9/11, the first actual casualty of the day was actually the firehouse chaplain was brought out of the building, dead, unfortunately. But in his wallet was a sign. It was not a sign, a card. And the card says, "Take me where you want me to go, show you who you want me to meet, tell me what you want me to say, and help me stay out of the way." Right? And so he was just following those thoughts. Show me where you want me to go. Take me where you want me to go. Show me who you want me to meet. Tell me what you want me to say, and help me stay out of the way. So he was just following the inspiration. He was saying, okay, I am in service. I am doing this, and I am just going to follow the inspiration. You show me. I'm not going to force you to show me. You're just going to show me. And so the inspiration comes, and that's where he goes. And that's where he follows. And in your life, that's hugely important. It's hugely important to come to that space where you realize that you are the creator of your experience. You are the one who are creating the outcome that you are desiring. And it literally is making a choice, just like ordering on Amazon. You go on, you type it in, and you make your order, right? Now, the next day, you don't go, hey, is it coming? You don't call them up, and you don't ask over and over and over again, and you don't keep putting the order in over and over and over again unless you want to get a bunch of them, right? You just put the order in, and you just know it's going to happen. And then inspiration comes. Go to your front door and see what's outside, right? But the idea is you have to put it, your creative mode comes from that space of putting your order in and expecting it to just happen. And then things come to show you the pathway to follow. Inspiration is the first external step of manifestation. You have to have the inspiration to go towards something, to create motion. And if you're not creating motion and you're just stagnating and you're staying in the same place, looking at your past experience, saying, I'm supposed to pray and pray and pray and pray and pray and try to force God to give it to me, then you're not going to create anything, because God says, hey, create. And you're supposed to create, because God is too busy to worry about what you're creating. He says, I'm supply, your demand. What do you want? Tell me what you want, and I'll come down and I'll give it to you. I'll put it in your image around you. But that's really the way it works, and we need to look into that. That was a lot of talking. Now let me tell you something else. Yesterday I did my Clearing Your Conscience workshop, and it was awesome. 3 people showed up. It was great though, because it was 3 people, which meant it was a very intimate workshop, and we got a chance to break some people through and get them to that next place. And a couple of them found, where they were tripping themselves up. They found the spot where they were tripping themselves up, and so they were very much, surprised that they found something that was tripping them up in their history. So I want to let you guys know that I did just put the new mini course online too, if you're interested in that. But I'm going to jump over here and start looking at the chat board and start diving into your questions. Let me drink some more hot tea. So if you got any questions, feel free to just throw them on the chat board, and I'll try to do my best. Let's see what we got. Alicia, I think it's great that you watch nonstop stand-up comedy. That's the best. Laughter does bring joy. You are correct, Suzanne. Well, thank you for purchasing that, Fabian. Every purchase keeps a roof over my head. I have stopped doing all my other work, and I dedicated myself solely to this now. So, every little thing helps. So I thank you for that. Boopster is in the house. Hello, Boopster. Good morning to you. That is Fabian, that is the love of God. When you feel that tingling sensation, that is the connection. When I had that moment where I took the $5 back to the cashier and felt the presence of Yeshua when I was like 19, that's what it felt like, was that vibration, that tingling in the spine, makes your hair stand up. Well, Tammy, thank you. I love having you listen. Jenny Brown, some of your best ideas come from meditation. I find that when I clear my mind of the clutter, my mind is more free to get more inspiration. And I think it's really important to take the time to clear the pathway for inspiration to come. Fabian, that's a great one. Do not wait for something. Just create the possibilities. And that, the interesting thing is you don't have to know how. And if you have faith, when those moments happen, like I tell a story, I've told it several times now. I don't know if I've told it on here or not, but years ago I was going to do a speech, and I had a massive chipped tooth in the front. And I was like 3 months out from the speech, and I put up a a prayer. Thank you, God, for the perfect teeth I'm receiving. And the next thing that happened was I bit into a sandwich, and that chipped tooth broke off entirely. And I thought, oh, good. Why would you think that, John? Why would you think, oh, good? Because I was focused on teeth, and I have faith that the tooth was going to be fixed. And so when the tooth broke off, it had to be part of the creation. It had to be part of the way of getting it. Well, long story short, later that day, I told someone about the broken tooth, and that person was part of an organization that helps Renaissance Festival people get medical and dental work done. And within 2 days, I had a $3,000 check to fix my teeth. And that was many, many years ago. But the key point is knowing with full faith that I was receiving, even when something seemed to the contrary. I now call that, when I'm manifesting something else and something comes up that seems contrary to what I'm trying to achieve, I now call that a broken tooth moment, because it tells you that, okay, in this moment, I just have to keep my faith, because this broken tooth is part of the process. The thing was, if I didn't have that broken tooth, I never would have mentioned the broken tooth to this person I was talking to on the phone, who ended up being someone who involved with this organization. So it was all divinely gathered together just because I created it. One of the best gifts I ever gave myself was the gift of enjoying the game of watching how it manifests. I just put my order in and they go, now, how's this going to happen? This is going to be great. And things happen in really cool ways. Let me jump back over here. Putting on a second pair of glasses. That's funny. Actually, Marcy, I have been, your question about painting, doing a drawing of Mary. I'm actually already starting doing sketches for a painting of Jeshua and his wife together, Mariam, Jeshua and Ishti, right? Because I really want to see a moment of the two of them together, loving each other and joyful. And I want to get that the painting that I did with the sad face. I want to get a smile on his face so you guys can see the laughing guy that I knew. Yes, Mary, a roof is good to keep the snow out. You're absolutely right. In the house. Hello. Yes, the meditation is available to purchase on the website. If you just go there, go to the regression meditation page. It's the second one now. I put it on there. If you go to johnofnew.com. In fact, hold on. Let me see if I can I can do something here for you right now. I believe. Hold on. Let me just jump over here. Let's see. Where are we? Help you guys out here. Okay. Okay, so let me go. Oh, this is weird. It is www.johnofnew.podia.com/meeting Jeshua, I believe. Hold on. Why does that say? Yeah, meeting Jeshua. So https://johnofnew.podia.com/meeting-Jeshua. If you need it that way. Painting of Jeshua eating figs would put a smile on his face. Well, Mary, I think that him with his wife, who he loved and adored, is a pretty good thing to put a smile on his face. Yeah, John, and if you that link that I just said, I know that's a lot. If you just go to johnofnew.com, go on the regression meditation page, and it's right there as well. I was so proud of that meditation because of the fact that it just came to be in such an interesting way. And then when I was looking for the Om sound, because I thought that basically in the meditation, it starts out with very light, very soft, almost indiscernible music. And it's very soft meditation music. And then in comes the sound of the seashore right at the time when I bring you to the place of being on the shore. So you hear the water flowing and you hear all that. And then when you actually start to feel the presence of Jeshua, in comes this sound that sounds like an ohm mixed with wind. Sounds like a long ohm, and it kind of fluctuates in waves, and there's this windy sound through it. That is the actual sound of our sun, the sun in our galaxy, the thing that gives us, the energy that we have. That is the actual sound of our sun. I thought, what a more perfect thing to put in the moment of experiencing Jeshua and then leaving the body and going into unconditional love is this feeling of the power of the sun. So I thought it was so cool to experience it and then to find it. I had no idea. I had no clue. Good morning. Hello, Texas. Donna, welcome. Oh, Jenny, that is an awesome question, and I'm gonna dive into that one because that is an awesome question. His name in this life is Michael, and Michael is a very interesting guy. He's a very stoic guy. He doesn't say much, but he's funny. He saves his comedy for the moments that are important. And let me give you an example of a funny Michael story. We went to Machu Picchu together. And when you come back to Cuzco from Machu Picchu via the train to get to the airport, right? When you come into Cuzco, your train's coming in, but it has to go down the side of a mountain. And so it comes along and it stops, and then they switch track and it goes down, and they switch track and it goes down, and switch all the way down this mountain. So as you're coming along on the train, we were in the front car, and the car was filled with metaphysical New Age folks, who had gone to Machu Picchu to experience that. And Michael, who was usually very quiet, and it was late at night. We were all really tired. And it was a very interesting trip. I'll have to dive into that trip at some point because we were there during a transportation strike, and they were burning things in the middle of the road to stop things from moving, and we got stuck in Lake Titicaca at a hotel for a few days. But anyway, so we're in this train, we're in the front car, and the front car literally has a window, so you can see directly in front of the train. The driver is up on top. And so we're in this front car, and we're looking out of the front, and this train comes along, and it slows down, and it stops. And we're looking out this front window, and there's a sheer rock wall in front of us. And everyone's just tired, and they're sitting there, and suddenly we hear Michael say, "All right, everybody concentrate." And the whole car busts out laughing. It was just one of those perfectly timed jokes of like all these metaphysical folks going to think their way through the rock. It was the best. But how did I meet Michael? This is an interesting story. So I had one psychic tell me about my past life. And then I had another, and then at one point I read the book The Messengers about a guy named Nick Bunick who remembered being the Apostle Paul. And I was like, okay, so let me read his book. So I read his book. And in his book there was a specific psychic that verified his life. And I was like, well, what if I just called her out of the blue? Now, don't tell her anything. Just test this theory that everybody keeps telling me about my past life. So I called her out of the blue to set up the appointment. And she answers the phone. She says, "Oh my God, you're John the Beloved." The first thing she said out of her mouth. Then she says, "Everyone's looking for you." And then I was like, okay, this is crazy. She said, and we did a whole thing. We set up the appointment, which was for a later time. And we did the second appointment. And it was profound. She says, "You are who you think you are," and all this stuff. She was really deeply into it. And she says, "After we're done here, is it okay if I give your phone number to some people for them to contact you?" And I'm a very open guy. I was like, "Sure, absolutely, yeah, no, anything to help me figure out what all this stuff is, great." So an hour after the conversation, I get a phone call from this guy Michael, and he starts talking to me, And I start talking to him, and I'm just like, very easy to talk to for me. We just got along, and I understood him. And then he reveals to me that he remembers being Philip. And then he says, I want to thank you because in the modern Bible, the only place I mentioned is in the book of John. And I said, well, good. I'll lord that over you for the rest of your life. But we ended up becoming very good friends. And an hour later, I had another person call me who actually was the author of the book, The Messengers. And I ended up traveling to Egypt with Michael, the author of Messengers, and Atira, the reader, and did some pretty amazing stuff in Egypt that was life-changing for me. And I'm not supposed to talk about it because the author wants to write about it. And so I'm not supposed to talk about it because we all kind of made that agreement. And so I'm true to my word, and I will not dive into it too deeply, but I won't share it on a public forum like this. But it was life-changing for me, and that I will tell you that. It was something I'd never expected. And I will tell you this, there was probably 100 local Egyptians and several police that were involved in the story, which is crazy, I know. But Michael and I ended up traveling to not only Egypt, but Israel, Greece, Jordan, and Peru together. And we just get along. We just get each other. And when I went to the Garden Tomb in Israel with him, he also verified that as the real location. So that was where I got the where I met Michael and how we got to know each other. What's the name of the book where you met the former Philip? There's a book that's written out there about me. I don't typically promote it for various reasons, but it's called John of Old, John of New. It was written by the first psychic who read for me, and it was basically her and my experiences through that process. But I don't typically promote that book for various reasons. But if you're interested in seeing another side of the story, it's on Amazon right now. John of Old, John of New. Oh, excellent. Your name is Michael in English as well. Yeah, Fabian, it is $20. All my meditations are $20. That is, like I said, these meditations are how I keep a roof over my head. And so when I left my corporate work to do this full time, this job that I'm doing now, these videos and all these workshops and these live streams, take a lot more hours than my corporate work ever did, and it's much more fulfilling for me. But I do sell regressions and meditation. I had someone this morning leave me a message saying that I should give my regression away for free because it was a gift from God. And I respect their beliefs and I understand that their belief comes from their background in Christianity, where Christianity has made money evil. But money isn't evil. Money is just an energy exchange. And I give all the information away for free on the YouTube channel, and the regressions and the meditations are my way of keeping a roof over my head, just like super chats on these things. That all goes to help me keep a roof over my head. Tom, you're asking me which psychic. The first psychic that I had, I don't recommend anymore because I really think she kind of lost her way. The other psychic has now retired. Now, I will say that, and I have not had a reading for this person yet, but everybody who I know who has had incredible experiences with the lady in Hawaii on the website lanvo, lanvo.org. And actually, someone went to her and it was the day that I had come back out of the spiritual closet, as it were. She actually told someone to come find the big bald man with glasses who remembers being John the Beloved, and his name is John. She told her that the day I came back out from my hiatus, and so I think that's a pretty clear message. I'm going to have a reading from her myself very soon, but it's landvo.org. I've had a lot of readings over the years, and many of them actually were people who I didn't know had gifts, like friends of mine who were sitting on benches next to me and told me that I was John the Beloved. So I often wonder whether it was their gift or whether it was the universe, God talking through them. You're welcome, Tom. CPO Snarky, which is the perfect name because I love Don Rickles, and that would have been the perfect name to call him, CPO Snarky. I was not at the birth, and I know nothing about the birth, so and we never discussed the birth, so it was not something. The whole virgin birth thing is a Roman pagan mythology that was added to Christianity at a later time. If you search out on my channel the video called "Let's Talk About Virgins" or something like that, that tells the story of all of the different virginal births in Roman mythology. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. The meditation is a download, so you download it and it's yours for in perpetuity. All of my meditations, all of my regressions are downloads that you can put on your computer and on your devices. So it's not a come to my site and listen thing. It's yours. You can have it. You paid for it. It's yours. And by the way, just so you guys know, I don't in any way, shape, or form have any hang-ups about money and spirituality. I have a deep understanding. The one thing that people talk about when they talk about money and spirituality, and they do it not only in religious spirituality, but in New Age spirituality as well. They have this idea that money isn't spiritual. But when you look at the idea of money and spirituality, Jeshua lived with Lazarus a lot of the time. He was buried in Joseph of Arimathea's tomb. Matthew was a wealthy tax collector. He was surrounded by wealthy people. And I have distinct memories of going into towns and finding people who would put him up in their homes. And it was usually the wealthy people who would put him up in their homes. And he got donations from people all the time. He was very well cared for financially, not just spiritually. And so I don't have any quims or qualms about it. But I do have a lot of people, not a lot of people, I have a few people who come to me who judge me because of their beliefs, and I respect their beliefs. And it just means that what my beliefs aren't for them. It's totally cool. You are quite welcome, Boopster. I love the name Boopster. That is just the coolest name ever. There's a lot of very gifted people out there, and I really think that when I'm going to go back to Tom's question about psychics, when you're looking for a psychic or looking for outer validation, because that's really what a psychic will do for you. You have to treat them as that, as they are outer validation for your belief. So when you talk to somebody, they're filtering through their own ego as well. And I don't like using the word ego that way, because the word ego simply means self-awareness. And an ego out of balance, one way or another, is not good. Someone who has no ego, no self-awareness, that gives everything away, will diminish themselves, and the person who has a big ego will diminish others. So it really comes down to having a balanced ego. But when it comes down to the individual personality of each reader, they're filtering through their own past experience as well. So they're creating, their information may be very, very good, but you have to make sure that you yourself are looking at the information and saying, does that feel right to me? Because sometimes it doesn't. I had one of the greatest psychics in the world tell me that I had something to do with Kenny Loggins, right? And as soon as I heard it, I was like, well, that's not true. I didn't have that, right? But then I heard other things that she said that were very clear. So you need to make sure, whoever you go to, that it's your discernment, it's your filter, it's your experience. You have to go, well, take the pieces that feel right to you. Just like reading the Bible, take the pieces that feel right to you. Reading the Quran, take the pieces that feel right to you, and so on and so on. Take the pieces that are loving. Take the pieces that are caring. Realize, as the creator of your experience, if someone's talking to you and giving you doom and gloom and telling you you're going to fail or anything of that nature, there is no fate or destiny. You're the creator of your experience. If you believe them, you will create exactly what they're saying, right? They shouldn't be telling you your future. They should be telling you, guiding you along the way. So you have to go, and what they're really reading in that moment is the possibilities depending on what you're doing at that moment. And so if you're going in there loving and caring, you should be experiencing incredible things. That's probably why 19 psychics told me about it, because after the first 4 or 5, then it was like in my mind, I'm going to figure out what this is. And so I'd walk in and people would pick up on it or read it. That's probably why it happened that way. But I knew from the very first time it was said to me that it was true. They're telling me you walked with Jesus. I knew it was true. Let me jump back over. Okay. So Boopster, you said from the days of collecting Betty Boop stuff. Years and years ago when I was married, I went to a Halloween party, and it's just a funny story. And my wife went as Betty Boop, and I built a gigantic foam rubber Gumby outfit. And we went to this party as Betty Boop and Gumby. And we walked in the door, and everybody at the party was in a Star Trek uniform. And the whole night was trivia about Star Trek. And we had fun. It was great. But we didn't fit in. So I guess we were the aliens in the party. Good morning, Eliza. Hawaii. I hope you're warmer than I am. Oh, well, thank you, Suzanne. That's lovely to hear. When I do my private sessions, I try to sit down an hour. Well, I don't try. I sit down an hour before, and I just write the person's name on a page, and I just start writing. And I don't judge what comes out, and I just automatic write. And then what happens is in the sessions is one of the early things I do in the sessions, I read the entire page, because it's usually a full page. In fact, I can probably show you. This one was actually a long one. This is part 2 of one of them, right? So I read it to them, and then we just dive in. And what happens usually is we find out that the things that I didn't understand were either completely accurate, or it awakens something in the person in front of them, or sometimes actually gives them something to look for. And so I was so inspired. So let me tell you something. I have never read that way before until this time when I started doing these private sessions. I used to always do in-person sessions. And when I was going to do this sessions via Zoom, I was like, how's that work? And so I said, well, I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to see if I can automatic write something. And it just happened. And it's amazing to see. I'm going to pull out this notepad here. How many, well, it's empty. How many of them there are? It's like just page after page after page of stuff, right? And it's amazing to me how it just starts to flow and come out, and I've had ones that were just so spot on that I myself was completely shocked by it. So Eliza in Hawaii, what's the temperature of an Arctic blast? I'm curious. As tonight we're supposed to be in the negatives. Doesn't grow up. Well, that Fabian, that's a great thing. The tree, that's a great idea. Tom, I'm sorry. What were you wondering? I'm curious what you say you were wondering about. Holly, I just did a video about this the other day, and I'll share with you the story of it. That I always have a connection to Jeshua. When I was a child, my mother was aghast one day when she walked out in the backyard and my G.I. Joe was on a cross. My father got mad at me because I told him that we were the family. We were named the son of David because Davis means the son of David. My father was very upset that I was saying I was somebody else's son. So I was calling myself the son of David, in memory of Jesus at the time when I was a kid. I had a imaginary friend who, as a child, I called Jimmy Garden, and there's all kinds of things in the garden thing. I was like, is that the Garden of Gethsemane? Is that Jeshua? Is that, what is it? But when I think back upon it now, I truly believe that was Jeshua speaking to me. I had out-of-body experiences where my brothers and sisters witnessed me talking to somebody when I was a child. And I would say to them, I'm on the ceiling. I'm taller than all of you. I had experiences where people would just show up in my life and talk to me about my spiritual journey, and I knew that they were connected, but they weren't necessarily Jeshua, right? But the biggest epiphany moment happened when I was about 19 years old, when I went into a convenience store, and somebody gave me too much change, $5 too much change to be precise. And as I walked out, I realized, and I walked back in, I said, you gave me $5 too much change. And the next guy in line says, well, there's something you don't see every day, an honest person. And I felt this rush of energy that was so encompassing. I was like, oh, what is that? And I walked out of the store, and as I walked out, I was still feeling it. And I said, Jesus, is that you? And bam, it got bigger and it flared more, and I knew it was him. I knew it was Jeshua. I called him Jesus at the time because I didn't have the experience that I do now with my regression. So the other thing that happened in that moment was when I was 19, my father was a racist, and he was I heard the N-word on a regular basis, and I was very much thinking in the same way, and I was using the same terminologies he was using, and I was doing. And that day, at the Pep Up gas station across from the Rehoboth Mall, I had this huge epiphany, and I stopped being racist that day. I stopped being homophobic that day, and I ended up leaving town not soon thereafter because of my father and I really didn't get along. He Christmas Eve he told me to pack my shit and get the fu out of his house, and so I had a very very interesting experience with him. But it was I think the reason why is because at that point I was very much in a very different space, and he couldn't relate to it. So did I have a connection to Jeshua? I think I had a connection with Jeshua my entire life. So where are we? Hello, Sugar's mama. So if you're Sugar's mama, who's Sugar? How your sessions go. And the other thing about the sessions is if we are into something, we're going to get it done. No insulation plus windows have louvers. Oh, it's a 53 in Hawaii. God, I wish we had 53. But I get it. You are correct. It is all relative. I was speaking to someone in South Florida yesterday, and they were going to 34. I was like, South Florida, 34? That's crazy. It does make you feel good to do good things. Oh, thank you so much, Suzanne. That's lovely. Thank you so much. That's the third super chat I've ever gotten. That makes me excited. Story. Thanks for that. You are welcome, Holly. I make art music in the world that is not very God-focused, and I personally don't like Christian music. But I want to give spiritual messages in a way younger people can understand. Any thoughts on this? Yes, I do have thoughts on this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you asked this question. I love 50s music. You know why I like 50s music? Because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good. It makes me go, oh, I love, right? Write music that makes people feel good, because spirituality is not a thinking, it's a feeling. You know, I love Alanis Morissette's voice. I can't stand her music because it's so angsty and so bitter and mean. You know, and I'm like, God, I wish I could really get into her music because I like her voice, but I can't. It makes me feel bad. And you want to make music that lifts people up, not puts them in a dark place, because music has direct influence. My first wife was a musician, and when my brother came over with their newborn baby, she would play upbeat music and the baby would relax. She would play like deep classical dark music and the baby would cry. It was based upon the feeling the music was giving the child. Didn't like it. And it really comes down to, if you want to reach somebody, first of all, talk to them where they are. Make your lyrics something that they understand. You have to meet people where they are to bring them where you want them to go. Second, make it a positive experience. People are drawn to positive experiences. You know, one of the over-marketed songs in the world is the happy song. You know, 'cause I'm happy to live, right? It got over-marketed. I wish it hadn't, because it would have had a much longer shelf life. Just like "Don't Worry, Be Happy," right? Those songs have feeling behind them. They make you feel good. Even the video of "Don't Worry, Be Happy," Robin Williams and another comedian, they're all joking around. It's just fun, right? Bob Marley, "Three Little Birds." Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing's going to be all right. It gives hope. It gives a feeling. You know, you want to have that idea of this just feels good. A lot of our modern music has dropped into having to be angsty and catch people on this negative wave. Grab them and put them on a positive wave. That's the way you do that, in my opinion. Listen to music that moves you. Hello, Midas. Chills. I love this too. Negative 45 Celsius. Well, that's pretty darn cold. Music is energy. Music is energy, and the little kids can pick it up on it very quickly. And I agree with that. Wham! I liked Wham. I totally. George Michael was an incredibly talented guy. Cat Stevens, "Morning Has Broken." Yes, beautiful song. John Denver's "Annie's Song." One of my favorite songs ever. What's the other one? I think Dan Fogelberg. "Longer than there have been fishes in the ocean." You know, those songs that have like love in them and passion in them. You are quite welcome, Midas. if I will be a part of God, like for real, I couldn't do anything wrong. Well, what's going to trip your head out, Fabian, is you are a part of God. You are one with God. And if you really look at the room that you're in right now, you realize that everything you see is made of pure energy. And Einstein says this energy that you see is just atoms, and atoms are just an energy event. Nothing's really solid there. But the trippy part about it is when you look at that room, you have to suddenly realize that the eyes that you're looking at the room with are also made of that same atoms, the same energy. You are in the image of God. That's what that means. It's, you're in God's image, created in God's image. It doesn't mean you look like a bearded guy in a cloud. It means you're inside the image of God, and you are part of that creation. And God has asked you to create, and you create every day with your belief. If you believe life sucks, it's going to suck. And if you believe life is great and good and loving, it's going to be great and good and loving. The key right now is to get most of us to start be great and good and loving so that we can create a world that's great and good and loving. Live loving now. That's why we call this the Live Loving live stream. Jumping back over. Annie's song, yeah. John Denver had a great voice. Love 60s music, yeah. Yeah. And here's the next thing, Fabian. He said it seems so difficult. That is a belief. But here's the thing that twists your noodle a little bit. If you change the belief to saying, this is easy, then your experience will be easy, if you can put faith behind it, because your faith is creative. These statements are all about looking at the world through glasses of your subconscious belief. And your subconscious belief is just your experience from the past that were created from your belief. And your beliefs were given to you by someone or something, experience maybe, but you're the one who has to consciously take this moment and create a good moment to put it into your subconscious mind. And then you make another one, you put it in your subconscious mind. You make another one, you put it in your subconscious mind. Eventually, your subconscious mind is filled with good moments, and then you start creating good moments out of habit, out of autopilot. And so it really comes down to you having to take the moment to choose. And choose, as they say in the Indiana Jones movie, choose wisely. Rewiring your thought processes, and that's exactly it. Your thought processes are, we spend 85 to 90% of our day in our subconscious belief. And that's, but if you really want to give yourself a huge gift, sometime during today, I want you to just sit there and really shut your mind off, just look around your room and look where you are. And look at the gifts that you already have. The first time I did this exercise, I was sitting on a plane, flying somewhere with my new wife. And I was sitting there and I was reading a book and I was saying, put this book down and just be where you are, be very present where you are. And so I put the book down and I looked around and I realized I was sitting on a plane. I was flying somewhere. I had the ability to get on a plane. And I looked around, and I was sitting in the front seat. I was in a very comfortable seat, and I had the ability to buy that ticket. And I was flying to somewhere really cool. I was going to Oregon at the time, and I was like, "Well, I'm going to go to Cannon Beach. I'm going to do all these cool things." In this moment, I was experiencing that I had the ability to do it. Now, in that moment, I could have been homeless. I could have been living under a bridge somewhere. I could have been, racked with illness, but I wasn't. In that moment, I was having this amazing experience. And then during that moment, suddenly a hand got rested on top of mine. And I realized that I had someone with me. And I had that as well. And it was a beautiful, beautiful moment just by becoming very present and experiencing where I was, what I had, that I could breathe in and out, and it was a very profound moment for me. Awesome, Suzanne. That's great. I'm so glad you're experiencing changes. The rewiring of the brain. It literally is about. It has to become habitual, though. You have to make it a habit. Yeah, Holly, I agree with you. It's wonderful. Your experience gets so different. And you know what's funny is I tell the story often about sitting at a restaurant table and having a different experience than the guy next to me because he had his own thought process, and the same waitress that I was serving me was serving him, and he was had poor service and I had wonderful service and a lovely conversation with the server. And it was my belief and his belief living itself out in the right there in our moment. And I tell the story all the time about going to Egypt and being treated like a prince, and then meeting the other American who was being, challenged to fights all over the country. The difference was, I loved them first. He expected a conflict. He was a Christian who was expecting a Muslim conflict. Was what he was really expecting. So it really comes down to just love people first. I didn't judge anybody on those trips. When I was in India, I had met beautiful, loving people in India. It was a wonderful experience, but I didn't judge them for anything because there's nothing to judge. The Bible says, "In my Father's house there are many mansions," and those mansions are the different schools of thought, the different beliefs. They all go to the same source. It's just a matter of what we've wrapped around the pathway to that source. Kind of wondering why I'm not remembering before my present life. I'm making progress in meditation. Okay, so contraction I'm is a contraction for I am. Moses said God's name is I am. Whatever you ask in God's name is granted. I am not remembering will tell you flat out that you're not going to remember it. To give you an example, I one time could not think of an actor's name. And I was like, I can't think of I can't think of this guy's name. And I realized that I was saying I can't. And I turned to my wife and I said, I am remembering Sean Penn. By putting God's name in it, I am remembering, bam, it came right in. Right? It comes down to you watching the words. That's what we're just talking about. Watching the things you're saying in your present moment about your experience. Because what you say and believe in your present moment is created into your experience. CPO Snarky. This is my truest and honest belief. It does not matter who you were, it matters who you are. The only moment that you have thought, word, and deed and are truly conscious is your present moment. Your past life experiences are just that, they're experiences. And like I say, I don't even understand what reincarnation is. I don't even know whether I'm the only one to have the memories that I do, or whether everybody has the memories I do. I'm just the one who tapped into it, or I'm just one of the ones who tapped into it. I don't know if there's an army of Johns or not. I don't really fully understand what reincarnation is. But I do know that I can't go back and change the past, and I can't go forward and change the future in the future. The future is going to be coming to me depending on what I do in the here and now. And so you've got to get firmly present. And for me, people say, well, yeah, but John, you had your past life memory. Well, it doesn't matter. Mine was a spontaneous thing that happened. I wasn't searching for it. It just happened, right? Searching for it itself is the idea of I am searching. So I am creating a search. That's not I am finding. I am experiencing. I am enjoying my past life memories. That's really what it comes down to. It's the same principle. Get very present. Get very present in everything you do and say. And the more present you get, the more your life changes, especially when you get present moment positive. Live loving, and you'll get love. Live knowing I am receiving the information that I want. Then you don't want to even use want. I am receiving information about my past lives, and it'll come in how it's supposed to come in. That's what in the beginning of this session we talked about inspiration. I am receiving information about my past lives, and just believe it's coming. Don't figure out how. Don't try to do the next modality to get there. It'll come. Good job, Suzanne. Yeah, you just get out of the way of the how, because the how is not creative. How, in fact, the very concept of how means you believe it's not coming in now. Well, Donna, it was lovely to have you here too. So, live in the present. Amen. Amen. Oh, yeah. Whatever that. Well, I will make sure we figure out whoever tried to just drop that little thing there. And Suzanne, you say love whatever comes to you. Well, I'll tell you something else. You can love things into existence. I love driving, and so driving shows me a loving experience. Love the things that you're creating, and love them right into existence. Yeah, and the other thing is Dawn talks about traumatic experience. I mentioned earlier my father and I didn't get along very well, right? But I had to come to a point where I was like, well, he was human too, and he made his mistakes in his life, and his father was an alcoholic abuser, and so, I don't have to like what he did. I don't have to like who he was even, but I don't have to be attached to it, and I can forgive, let it go. Right? That's what forgiveness really means. Forgiveness means setting aside resentment. And so I'm setting aside my resentment and realizing that he was human too. He probably did the best he could with what he knew. And what he knew was crap. So he gave crap to me. So anyway, well, we are coming to the end of this thing, guys. It is 1:00, and I'm pretty sure that my my closer is not going to work either, because I didn't put those files in the right place for my software to pick it up. So I will try to take us there. I hope you guys have a great day. Go out and live loving and spread that joy and laughter. Tell a joke, sing a song, and look for the inspiration in all of your experience. Because when you let go of the how, the inspiration will come. And I recognize the love in all of you. And I thank you so much for being here today. This has been wonderful. And thank you again, Suzanne, for the super chat. It was greatly appreciated. That will definitely help a great deal. And you guys have fun out there. And I'll see you later. Bye.